have Kalyani come and give a welcome.
Good evening, everybody. I am so heartened by all of you being here to help me celebrate the anniversary of my mother, who passed away on the 11th of April 2012. So it's been a year since she passed away. So it's nice and wonderful thing to celebrate today. The two things. One is her transition into her new life in the spiritual world, where she is residing now. And secondly, it's so important for us to really venerate or honor our ancestor. She will be joining our ancestors sometimes today, or maybe she's already joined there. So there are two things we are celebrating, and I'm so happy that you are all here to celebrate or to help me honor my mother. I think if my mother could be here, she would say, I'm watching all of you, and I know you're going to be all right. So I know it's going to be okay. We have food that has been prepared by some of my friends and also myself, and those foods are mostly cooked because of my mother's favorite foods. I hope you will enjoy them. I would also like to say that this is what the spirit of my mother is to have a good time, enjoy each other, try to understand each other, and never ever think about the border between the two, anything, cultures or religions, people or anything. So that's the legacy that we will be celebrating today, and I hope you'll enjoy it. And I think most of it is that in the first year we will never ever keep any kinds of photographs of our mother or anyone who passed away. But today is a special day because a friend of mine brought a painting of my mother in the front. This is done by her daughter. It's a sketch. And this is the photograph that was taken many years ago when she was only 18 years old. So thank you so much, Elvira, for bringing this to us. And we have great friends and colleagues and families over here. I am so thrilled because we are not just honoring the mother, but we are honoring everybody's mother here. So I have a great colleague and a friend of mine, Paulette, who will be helping us, guiding us to celebrate all our mothers who are here. And I also want to thank or maybe celebrate people who are not able to be here, and all of my ancestors who I see and I feel the presence of them in the spirit. And I thank you so much and I enjoy it. To begin with, I would like to invite my nephew, the only nephew I have now in Milwaukee, Tihan, to light the candle in remembrance of my mom, and also to remember my ancestors.
Thank you.
Candlelight. He said it's already lit so easily. And the next one is Devarati, who will be coming and giving us a little bit about my mom's, not so much commemorating her work, but we would like to talk a little bit about what shaped her as a young woman.
Good evening. My name is Devarati and I work with Kalyani in UW Milwaukee. Last year, in April, when she came back from Nepal, we in our department, CUCD, had a small ceremony in memory of her mother, and many people in the audience today had attended it. It was a sad time for Kalyani and her family because they were grieving, and the tenor and the spirit of that event was very different from what I believe we are gathered here today for, which is to celebrate her mother, Chandramani's life, and also to mark her transitioning into a spiritual life. As many of you may know, Chandramani was raised as an Anglican in Nepal, and her father was a pastor and a teacher, I'm told. I know about Chandramani. I've never met her, but by talking with Kalyani on many occasions over a cup of coffee, I feel I know her because of all the stories she has shared with me. And one of the things I learned about her was she was raised in this Anglican household where she learned to value the idea of service. And service as in reaching out to people and being compassionate and understanding. I also know from her stories that Chandramani wanted to be like Florence Nightingale, because that was a role model she had, and for her young mind it was something that embodied the idea of service. She grew up to be a nurse and a teacher, and this idea of service has been in her life throughout her adult life. And I say this because when we think of a nurse, the image I have is that of a hospital or a doctor's office. But from the stories that I've heard from Kalyani, it was more like somebody would come up at the middle of the night to their house, knock at the door, and they would need desperate help for some emergency in their house, many times for helping them with labor and childbirth. And she would get up or wake up in the middle of the night and ask one of her daughters, many times Kalyani herself, to carry the box of tools she had and take a lamp and go on the mountain path and help the family, and then do whatever her nursing skills required her to do, and then come back. And the next day, the family would come with a basket full of vegetables or chicken as a token of thanks. I've also heard she was a teacher. She became a teacher much later in life, but I don't associate her with formal teacher training program or formal education settings. She gathered girls in her neighborhood who did not have access to education, did not go to school, and started teaching them in her living room. And she had a small school. This effort evolved into a small school, which is still continuing to this day, and it works with the neighborhood girls in where they live now. So I think this idea of service that she was raised with from her father, from her family, had a deep impact on her life, and it had powerful ways of shaping her adult life. And that Anglican sense of commitment to service played a significant role. So I think it's kind of fitting that we are here in this church today in memory of her, to celebrate her life and her memory, her transitioning into a spiritual life. And we are very happy that the pastor in this Presbyterian church has kindly agreed to give his blessings in her memory, and I welcome Pastor Chris at this point to give us his blessings. Thank you.